Today, I am going to embrace the gray with this gray eyeshadow look. I have been enjoying experimenting, and like I say, generally I always stuck with a little bit more of a warmer look. And I definitely still will tweak my eye looks by using a cooler tone maybe on the lid, and then on that outer transition shade I might add a little bit of warmth so that the warmest part is at the edge right there, you know, the transition up to my brow line. I am going to start with this color right here and put that in on my lid. And it's a taupe, but it's also got quite a bit of a gray to it. Here. So we're still working with the taupe, deepening it up with that, but then having a little bit of warmth there. And I have done many looks, and there is nothing wrong with mixing cool and warm tones. Another thing that I really enjoy using are metallics, and again, you can mix your metallics together as well. So they're almost, well, they're neutrals, and so they do go together. All right, there we go. So we've got that in. Now what I want to do is, rather than deepening the whole transition shade, I am going to just add a darker color right at the edge there. And so what I am going to do is take my flat eyeliner brush and do my eyeliner with that. And that's just basically creating that outer edge border for everything to set, you know, to be placed on the inside. Wow. And there's my quick and easy cat eye. Dusting it just a little bit inward, not much. And then taking the liner to about midway of the eye, because then I'm going to use the liquid liner and do it the rest of the way. And that's optional. You can just do your eyeliner to midway and then not necessarily finish it off. I just generally do it because then I'll add my fake lashes, and it just kind of gives it a little bit more of a finished look for me. What I'm going to do is go with this one here. And so I'm going to take that and pop that basically right in the center of my eyelid, just to then create a bright spot. Like a little highlight just right there. And then the base of just that really neutral taupey grayish color. And this is a really, really simple look. Now what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of depth. So I'm taking my, I call it my bullet brush, and I am going to go in this color right here, and then just work on creating that V right in the corner. So right in there. Going along the eyeliner. And then just kind of pushing it inward. And not carrying it up too much into that crease. Just about a fourth of the way. Okay. And now I am going to take a little bit of a smaller brush for that transition and increase color. And I'm just blending it kind of in. And blending it into the transition color. Now I still want a little bit more warmth. I'm going to take this one and then this one, which is a little bit more of like a brick red color, and just a touch like that. And this is just going right on the outer edge of that transition shade. And see how it just gives it a little bit of warmth. All right. There we go. Now I'm just taking my liquid liner. All right, well, let me do the other eye, pop on my lashes, and I will be right back. Okay, I am back. All right, so now I am going to prime my face. And I'm just using the NYX Angel Veil. I've really been getting into doing more of a contour on my face and just experimenting with things and learning as I go and sharing it with you guys. Maybe once I get it down as a routine, I can do a video on contouring and things like that. But for now, I'm still in the, I guess, testing phase and just kind of sharing it as I go along. Let me just quickly run this flat eyeliner brush through my brows. Don't want to forget about them. All right. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I've been testing with this e.l.f. concealer, and I'd like to actually do a wear test and compare this to my Dermacol, which is actually a foundation, but it's very, very light and it sticks like glue. So I like it for my concealer, and this so far has been my favorite. And so just to be testing, I was using this, but today I want to use this. I also know that this goes a long, long way. So no matter how much I put on my hand, it's probably going to be too much. But we will see. Maybe not. Okay, and so I've got my concealer brush. I use my butter bronzer, the sculpting bronzer, for my contour. So we've got that. I'm still using my my Wet n Wild matte foundation for my foundation. But doing this technique, you use a lot less because I'm covering a lot of my face with the concealer. So I don't really then need to use as much foundation. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of concealer, and I'm going to show you why. So I've always just used a brush like this and swept it on the sides of my nose, and that was my nose contour. Then I started doing the concealing it a little bit differently, and it is a little bit more persnickety. Well, I'm going to combine the two approaches. So what I'm going to do is take this with the contour and run it along the sides of my nose. And then down on this side, because I want to contour where it starts widening there. But where it took me, you know, like this amount of time to do my nose, it kind of turned into a lot more. And I know for me, I already take forever to get ready. So I don't want to be adding a ton more time to my, you know, everyday prep. Otherwise, I won't do it. And then I'm also deepening those little notches right there. But doing that and not worrying about it, okay? Now I'm going to go to my neck. And one thing I want to do is, if you see me from my side, this thing goes from here down, like my little double chin, turkey neck, whatever you want to call it. And when you look at yourself in the mirror, you may not see it, but when you see yourself in pictures like this, or God forbid, I look at myself, you know, on selfie mode in my camera, looking down at it, it's horrifying. So I've been doing a little bit of research on how to shadow this. And again, I want it to be a natural thing. You don't want to have super, super dark or obvious there, but you do want to create that shadow. And so what I'm going to do is press and get my double chin, and then take my contour and then just go over that where it's light. Okay, so it's right there. Okay, and now you just start blending. And another thing I want to do is make sure to get right there, because that is where you start seeing a little bit of this sag. So you can actually even go up a little bit on to this side, but at this angle, straight up. And just hit it right there. Okay. And time to blend this, because you put quite a bit right in this area. Well, now what you want to do is kind of blend it on down and around and on your neck. But you don't want to necessarily contour your whole neck. So you want to go around like this. To sharpen this, you want to actually go underneath here and just drag it down a bit. Pretty much the same. This is the same technique that I have been using, except the trick that I learned was doing it like this and then going and actually hitting the double chin that you see. Okay. And then what I like to do is shade here and then, you know, kind of down, and then kind of down there, and then on this side. Okay, get on up in there. And what you're trying to do is define that angle here. So you're going up under, you know, from under and then around like that, and then behind your ear and down. Now, This may be more for a special occasion if that is a little bit too much. I know for me, I like just doing this, and then I do sweep around there, do this, do up here, and that's about it. I think, you know, you'll get quicker as you go. All right, so there's that. So we've contoured this area. Now I'm going to go in with the concealer and start on that, and then finish up my contour of my forehead and my cheeks in a minute. But I'm just taking the little bit here and starting off here. And that's always what I've done. But then I would just focus on blending that out and actually wiping off a lot of product. Well, I can use the rest of that product to continue to highlight. So I've chosen to start highlighting in this area. Again, that heart shape. So you want to brighten this area and up your nose. And I'm just placing the product right there because I will blend it a little bit more carefully here in a minute. Up like that, keeping this all bright. And also I'm highlighting in the heart shape around here. See, I forgot this. With this foundation, it's a lot thicker. The other one has more of a watery consistency. So I have to really, you know, once I set it here, it seems like I need to get on it pretty quickly. Otherwise it sets up and then it doesn't blend right. This one is a little bit more of almost like an oil base or something. So it's a little bit more forgiving as far as that goes. But I'll go ahead and you know, blend that out. Okay, I've got a little tiny bit left here. So what I'm gonna do, the heart is highlight right here. I'm also wanting to learn a way of trying to alleviate the marionette issue going on here. So right here, sweeping up like that. Okay, so those are all the areas that I want to highlight. When I highlight my eyes, I'm doing it the exact same way. I'm leaving all of that open. I'm not, you know, I'm blending and it eventually blends out, but it's very thin, but I'm not highlighting all the way up my eye. And then I also want to go down my nose. Okay. And you can blend out as you see, as you're most comfortable. With my fingers, I feel like it warms up the product. I blend and I can almost meld into the creases a little bit better and easier. In areas like under my eyes, along my face, it seems like I can use, you know, the whole finger to blend, and it just goes a little bit faster. I'm really not doing my nose yet, because that one I will use the fingers and brush a little bit. Okay. And if there's like some bright spots or whatever, I'm going to be going, it's layering so that hopefully it is covering up anything that's any edges that might be there. So let's say something seems a little bit too bright. When I go to add my foundation, hopefully that will blend and smooth that out a little bit more. So, okay. And what you're wanting is to minimize layers so that you don't have the makeup, you know, settling into creases and things like that. So along your nose, under your eyes, everywhere, you want to really make sure it's blended in well and it's not starting to cake up. So that's why I want to keep the product to trying to keep it as thin as possible. All right, so now for my nose, what I'm going to do is take the highlighter, brighten up right there under my those little notches that I concealed. Then I'm going along the tip of my nose and then a little bit to the sides. Those I want bright. And then I just tap it there. And then I take the brush and just sweep it up from here. And that is it. So I'm not spending too much time. Now I do, because I'm just that way, taking my contour that I do my nose and maybe just doing a tiny bit and then blend and then you're done. Okay. I can fiddle with my nose. I can fiddle with my eyelashes too. That's why I'm like, oh, I love just popping on my fake ones, because I'll fiddle and fiddle and fiddle, and before you know it, I mean, way too much time has passed. So, all right. So now I am going to go to my foundation. And see, I used up that, I mean, there's a little bit there, but on the most part, I used up that tiny bit for my whole face, which I think is awesome. Now what I'm going to do is put maybe a little bit less than I normally do of foundation, because I'm not going to be going over everything. Now that's dependent on you. If you need more coverage everywhere, I really don't need coverage around the perimeter of my face. So I'm leaving that alone. What I'm doing is blending where I need it the most. So I've got sun damage along here, so I like to brighten that up. I might just blend around what I highlighted on my forehead, around my mouth, and then on my chin. So that's the areas that I'm going to just be going in. And blending, but not necessarily going over, again, the areas that have all of the concealer. Mostly just there. There. I do wanna. And that is it. Now I'm going to just take my damp blending brush. Now I'm going to take my damp blending sponge and just basically press. I'm not sweeping. I'm not wanting to move the products around it or anything. I'm just slightly blending it more by doing this, as well as removing any product. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and contour my cheeks and my forehead. And I deposit most of the color right there, about 1 inch or 2. Okay, and then I turn my brush over to this end and just drag it down. Okay, and then I turn it again around like this just to blend. And if I did get too low, I will be cleaning that up a little bit, but I'm really trying to learn the placement, the proper placement of my contour, which is basically outside of the heart. You don't want to go more inward, and then right under your bone, right in that hollow. And like I say, just if I'm blending it and I'm, maybe pushing it out too low, I can then clean it up. But it is tricky because you'll watch some people, and I've done it, it's hard not to get your blush and everything right in the middle of your face. And that is a good look. I mean, you can use your blush to do that. It's very youthful when you do put your blush up under your eyes and on your nose. It makes you look like you've been out in the sun. I mean, that is a look. So it just depends on what you're going for and getting the proper technique down. All right. And now I'm gonna get up here and I'm bypassing this area, bypassing this hollow, and then just going like this. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna take just a really, I want to use this peachy one. I use this one a lot, my Luminoso from Milani. And this way, if I'm following the same curve, my blush, I'm just going to want to, okay, here's my contour. I'm just going to want to put it basically right on the contour, but up a little bit higher, just a little bit. And I like to kind of just pounce it like this, which makes it blend out, to me, the most even. And so you kind of just follow along the same line. I'm not carrying it up and going all over the place like you can if you want to have more of that sun-kissed look. I'm just putting it right there. Again, just that's where right there. Okay. Now, another thing I am going to do with my highlighter, I almost have enough highlight just like this, but if you want to add a touch of sparkle, okay, this is the Wet n Wild highlighting Mega Glow highlighting powder, and for more control, I'm going to apply it with my finger, and I am just placing it right here. And then I'm kind of going to blend it in a little bit. And then you can kind of just touch around. Yeah. And this way, I'm not adding too much. With a brush, even though I've got a very light brush and I try to put on just a little bit, you can do it this way if you are not sure about your highlighter and you really want to make sure that it's controlled and put in the right place. Because I think one thing you really don't want is for you to see this streak of where you put your highlighter. And so if you're dabbing it with your finger and blending, it helps. Another thing that I've learned is that my finger is if I put too much on my nose when I use my finger. So I'm going to use the same brush that I use for this area and then even the corner of my eye, because I can then just get it right on. When you're highlighting your nose, you want to put it right on the very ridge. Just like that. And then on the tip of your nose, just like that. Less is more. And the problem is I may not see it, so I might keep adding and adding, but it's there. And so you'll end up putting on too much. And then if your whole nose is highlighted, it's going to make it look bigger. So you're kind of defeating the purpose. So then I'm going to highlight just that one little area. And it isn't a bad idea to go in with your finger and kind of blend it out. Now, I always just go ahead and go in with this one. But if I'm going to be persnickety about it, come on, I'm going to use this. I am going to use this tiny, tiny, tiny little flat brush. And I'm just going to take a little bit of highlighter. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Okay. And then right there, just right there and right there. Do a little bit more. Right there. That's really all you need. Right there. Just a little bit. So that it just barely catches the light. That's all you're shooting for here. All right, did that, did that, did that. So now what I do is take my foundation brush and then just do any kind of cleanup. And this helps blend the highlighter. This helps blend the contour. It will help blend any foundation that may still be a problem. Okay, and then now what I do, and before I used to powder twice. Here I'm just powdering it now once. And it seems to be working fine for me. Now, it is the winter now. My skin has really, really dried out, unfortunately. And so I'm not as worried about the oil. Now, the powder, I always just like to finish it off, give it that really nice finished look, and also help with any last bit of blending. So what I'm doing is just going over the highlighted parts, okay? right there. Now, I do want to add a little bit of extra love to my under eyes like I always have. And then just sweep away any possible bit of settling in, which I don't have any. I mean, like I say, I really do love this concealer. So, and then I take a fluffy brush. Another thing you'll see a lot of people doing is baking, and that's a great way to like set your under eyes, help with any possible fallout, and then brighten. I have not done that I haven't attempted it in a while, so I may need to try that. Because unfortunately with my more mature skin and everything else, that powder sitting there baking on my skin makes my under eyes look worse. So in lieu of baking, I'm just brightening it up with the powder, but instead of letting it settle or set, I just brush it off right away. And that seems to, you know, be working fine. I don't notice my under eyes looking bad because of that. All right, and then just super quickly taking my bronze and doing my usual. All right, now I am going to shape my mouth. Here's another little trick I'm playing with. Let me get my contour again. Is shadowing right there. And what I'm trying to create is like my lip curling effect so that my RBF isn't as prominent. Again, I'm just testing this one out, not quite sure how I feel about it. What I think makes a bigger difference, but it's along the same lines, it's in that same area, is overlining my lip. And we have Marilyn Monroe to thank for some of these beauty tips. She highlighted and contoured her face for the heart look. She did her lips like this. I don't think she had RBF, but I think maybe to make her, I mean, she had an iconic mouth, so. And I'm really trying to push the line out most on that inner corner, or I mean on that, you know, in this corner here. So my overlining is actually more on the sides than anywhere else. Kind of leaving the sides open, because those corners are the ones that are what's going down. And so I'm going here. In order to match my top lip, I have to overline my bottom lip as well, but not excessively, because otherwise that really does have a weird look too. I tried it. For that added dimension, you add a lip gloss that is acting as a highlighter. So you add that on to the most prominent, you know, pads of your lip. Okay. All right, there you go. So this look is very cool, warm, and neutral. And I'm having a lot of fun playing with the different tones and colors because I am enjoying, you know, the going gray process and things like that. And I'm looking at it rather than being limited to not being able to wear colors anymore that I like, to not only wearing the colors that I like, maybe just framing them a little bit differently, to also incorporating colors that I never really wore before because I didn't like the way they looked on me. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. And I hope you have a great day.